Hey everybody, hope that you're doing well. Welcome back to RT Tips by DW. Um, the season is upon us for board exams. Not that it just has to be right now for board exams, but a lot of colleges are getting ready to graduate their students, and those students will be anxiously awaiting and getting ready to go and challenge the TMC. And then assuming that they score high enough on the TMC, they achieve the high cut score, then they'll be eligible to go and sit for the clinical simulation exam. My students are getting ready to graduate here in the next 8 weeks or so, and we've been working on some review in class, and I trust that they're going to do pretty well once they graduate. But nonetheless, you still get the questions about volume of resources and things that are out there. First and foremost, you got to appreciate that when you go take that TMC exam, there's 160 questions on the test. 20 of those are going to be scored are just test items. So 140 of those questions are scored for you or against you, but you need to make sure that you answer all 160, even though 20 of them are test items, because you don't know which 20. If it's first, last, middle, sporadic throughout, you don't know. So answer all of those, because if it's not answered, it's going to count as a missed question, and that obviously will work against you. So 160 questions to take the TMC, 3 hours or 180 minutes to take that TMC. So make sure that you pace yourself accordingly for that. And then once you achieve that RRT cuts, the high cut score, you are going to be able to take the CSE so that you can complete your RRT credential with the National Board for Respiratory Care. That clinical simulation exams, 22 cases, 20 of those are scored for you or against you, meaning two of those are test items, still need to complete all of them. Uh, and you have 4 hours to do that. So again, you're going to want to pace yourself. But in reference to preparing for this, like I said, you've been studying from day one. So there really shouldn't be any need for the night before you test cram session or anything of that nature. I really would encourage you to get a real good night rest before. Eat you a solid breakfast the morning of, and then go to the testing center fresh and knock it out. Leave with your score report indicating that you've got that high cut score, and then go ahead and once you get notified from the NBRC that you can register for the clinical simulation exam, then move forward, take that, knock it out, then you're an RRT, and then apply whatever state you're in for state licensure and so forth, and then begin your career as a registered respiratory therapist. Um, Now, a little bit about that, students tend to ask, when can they take the exam? So ultimately, you're not eligible to sit for any of those exams until after the program coordinator, program director has told the NBRC that you have successfully completed your program and that you are a graduate of that program, and they'll input that information to the NBRC school portal. So my students will be anxiously awaiting for me on our graduation day to be able to submit that, stating that they've done that, and then um, that should let the NBRC know that they've graduated, and then the NBRC will send out the information to the students, likely via email, so that they can begin to register for those exams. And so hopefully your program director will have you input some information into the NBRC school portal database, which will be contact information, phone number, email address, so forth, so that that information can come from the NBRC. But nonetheless, those are the logistics of how. So we were wanting to know more about where you should begin to study. So hopefully, in your preparation of becoming a respiratory therapist and completing respiratory school, you've heard about the NBRC, the National Board for Respiratory Care. Hopefully, somebody has shown you that they have something called a detailed content outline for both the TMC exam and the CSE exam. Yeah, go to the examinations tab on the NBRC website. I'm not going to take the time to navigate there. I've got another video where I've done that. But pull up those detailed content outlines for the TMC and the CSE, and you'll find that there's quite a significant amount of overlap between those two forms. It's an excellent area to be able to pinpoint in your. I've always told people, if you can go through that 14-page document and for the most part talk at length about every subject on there, you're probably pretty ready for the test. Uh, I would also encourage you to take advantage of their free practice exams that they've got on the NBRC website. So in the same examination tab going down at the bottom, you can find the free practice exam that they have. There's a free practice TMC exam. There's a free practice clinical simulation exam. Uh, The free practice TMC exam, I've found the rigor to be pretty good. That clinical simulation exam, I feel is probably the free one is a little easier probably than what you can expect, but nonetheless, it puts you in the mindset of how to take that test. Because when you go in and take your TMC exam, once if it's A, B, C, D, you pick A and you change your mind and think that it's B, you can switch that. With that clinical simulation exam, once you click something, you're married to it. It's going to count for you or count against you once you click it. You cannot change your mind. Once you select it, it's a done deal. So that you've got to make sure that you know and appreciate too going into that test. But I would encourage you to take those free practice exams. The free practice exams, I think when you log in to take the test, you're asked to put in your email address and they'll email you your score report. So the score report is going to let you know what you got right, what you got wrong, and what have you. But that's pretty much all it'll let you know. So if you're just going by way of the free practice exams, I would make detailed notes off of the areas that you missed and make sure that you go through and make some notes and study that. The NBRC exams, TMC and the CSE, are quite costly. Um, so I know that you were already going to be, I always tell my students to gauge upon close to upward to $1,000 by the time you take in exam fees, credential verification fees, licensure fees, criminal background check, drug screen fee, things that I tell my students, at least in the state of North Carolina where we're at, roughly upward to about $1,000. Now, it probably doesn't quite cost $1,000, uh, but I inflated a little bit. So if you got $1,000, you got enough money to write, and that's assuming your exams are a one and done kind of deal. And as an educator, that is my goal for you to be one and done when you go in and take those exams. I would take advantage of the free practice exam. 100% take advantage of any of the free content that's online, whether it's YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, as long as it's quality. Not everything on the internet is of created equally or of quality content. So hopefully your instructors can help steer you in that direction. That's part of what I want to do here while we're together today. Would encourage you to take advantage of those NBRC self-assessment exams. Those are the NBRC SAE exams that I have listed here. They have those for the TMC and the CSE. Uh, the prices, I don't remember exactly right off the top of my head, but somewhere in the ballpark of $60 to $70 for those exams, probably. And I believe that is money well spent because it gives you a full length practice exam. And also, you're going to get a detailed score report back more so than the free practice. The free practice exam just tells you what you got right and what you got wrong. The NBRC self assessment exams is not only going to tell you what you got right and what you got wrong, but it's going to provide you with feedback and rationales for those questions, which, in my opinion, is fantastic study material as you're preparing to get ready for those board exams. Additionally, you can look at the AARC's website, the American Association for Respiratory Care. Hopefully, as a student, you've been encouraged to join the AARC at the discounted student member rates. I'm currently an AARC member. I have been for several years now. Uh, and there are some perks that you get with that. So one of the things that you can also do is the AARC exam prep program. Now, depending upon how many of those NBRC SAE exams, practice exams you want to purchase, it may be more cost effective for you to go through the AARC exam prep program because I believe you get access to those exams through that. But there's information on the AARC website for you to look at. I'm just letting you know that the resource is there. As a student membership, you'll get right now they have published that they do a discount on the NBRC exam. So utilizing your AARC student membership, you can get, I think it's $40 off when you schedule to take your NBRC exam. And they're also complimentary access to exam prep videos. Now you don't get the full exam prep program for free. I believe that still comes at a cost, but you do get some complimentary access to some of those preparation videos, which going to be very helpful as you're going through that study content and what have you. Uh, so aside from the NBRC and the AARC, if you do a Google search of how can I get prepared for the TMC or how can I help myself pass the CSE, going to be a plethora of stuff that comes out. And I've listed for you some of the quality or the programs that I would trust my students going to. If that man, and I know that if you're watching this, you may not be my student, but you're taking the time to watch it, so I'll treat you as you are my student and share with you what I share with my students. The One Vision RC program, it's a relatively new program. They do have that 2 day review, but also if you came through a program that implemented their full program, where from day one you get access to their instructional videos and so forth. Those are fantastic instructional videos and tutorial videos to go back at and look at as you're studying and preparing. The next two items that are listed, you've got the respiratory coach, which holds his respiratory coach boot camp. Fantastic information in there. I would 100% give my endorsement for you to utilize that as well. Respiratory headquarters, Tanya, she's with that. The two of them partnered together to create One Vision RC. So I really think any of those are good. Kettering has a long-standing reputation, as so does Gary Persing and Lindsey Jones. So those are fantastic. You've got the respiratory therapy zone. I've seen some of their content. Some of my students have said that they utilize that as well. Tutorialsystems.com. If you go the respiratory specific route, they've got some clinical simulation practice and stuff that you can utilize there. There's also respiratory cram. And then while I'm not charging anything, all of my content through Facebook, Instagram, what have you is free. Last but certainly, hopefully not least, RT Tips by DW, a little bit at a time. Um, so there is going to be some cost associated with pretty much anything on the screen. But I think it's money well spent if you feel like you need that extra help or that extra uh, bump to get you over them and get you prepared, get your confidence up and ready to rock and roll for those exams. Uh, like I said, my students are going to be taking that exam here within the next couple of months as they're going to graduate in the early part of May. And it is my hope that before the end of May is finished, that my entire graduating class will be registered respiratory therapists. That's my hope. I have no control over when they take their exams or what have you. But I feel like they're ready. Um, I mean, obviously, we've got 8 more weeks of school left, but to an extent, you have to also appreciate when it comes time to studying for an exam like that. You've been in school for 2 years, or close to 2 years. How much more is and you've been studying for that amount of time. How much more beneficial is you know, an all-nighter cram session going to be? I think the couple of reviews are fantastic. They may give you some shortcuts, given that you do have time constraints. 160 questions, 180 minutes to take it. You may not be able to have the time to work out the entire alveolar air equation. If there's some shortcuts to get you there, by all means, listen to those and take them. But now I'm beginning to ramble. If I were in your shoes getting ready to take the test, and I felt a little uneasy about it, I would want to assess how well I'm doing. I would start off with those free practice exams. I would start off with those self-assessment exams. I would look at those, study those, um, and uh, then if I felt like I needed to refresh on a lot of that, then I would move forward with purchasing or at least looking at the access to anything listed closer toward the bottom of the page. But there is probably going to be some cost associated with that, and I'm a little on the cheap side, so I like to go with the free stuff. Uh, but everything is quality. Everything listed here, I would trust my students utilizing those resources as they're studying and preparing. And I know that it's just my opinion, but I'll wrap things up with I've been an educator for close to 20 years, and face to face, the students that I've taught, probably over a couple hundred now at this point, over the span of that many years, maybe more. I've not counted, but I do know how many are not registered, and there's four out of the 200 plus that I've taught face to face that are not registered. Two of those individuals never sat for the board exam. They graduated respiratory school and decided they didn't want to go, that they didn't want to work in respiratory. So they never sat for the board exams. I feel confident they would have passed it had they taken it. And then I've got two students that earned their CRT, and the place of their employment has not forced them yet to get their RT and to continue to let them work as a CRT. I'm hopeful that they'll eventually go on to get their RT. But I think if you look at that, 4 out of the couple hundred and so that I've had some way, shape, or form part in their respiratory education, they're all registered. Uh, so, not that my 2 cents are super valuable, but I think my 2 cents are worth listening to if you have that. So thank you all for your time and attention. And for those of you that are graduating and getting ready to take those board exams, good luck to you. And I hope that soon you'll be able to sign those 3 letters RRT after your name. Thank you again.